She's gonna need a bigger board.
So.
Ah! Well, that's Nick's response.
Yep, that sums up my response to the movie. Pretty dang good.
So we just saw The Shallows.
Oh, that was-
The new what's the name of the director?
That's gonna be marketable. It's Yame Collet-Serra.
Yeah, he did Nonstop and
And Unknown and Run All Night. Yeah,
Oh, God.
3 Liam Neeson.
It stinks as bad as the movie.
Oh. Okay, I hope I don't get sued by Imagine Dragons right there. All right, let's talk about the movie.
Well, Nick hated it.
we're gonna say, well,
Yeah, really?
wait, yeah. Well, three, I guess liked it because I don't know what John's thoughts are. 3 liked it, 1 didn't.
All right, well,
Another.
Remember my opinion of this movie.
It is a
I will
fart.
give you an actual good critique
yeah.
when I stop letting them loose.
Okay, so
Seriously.
yeah, I guess now maybe Nick knows what it's like to be trapped in a car with 3 guys who were eating up something that was crap, except this was actually good. Okay.
Okay.
anyways.
You want my
All right, so-
actual critique on this? I'm sorry. I am gonna kind of pick this movie apart. A lot of
You could pick this movie apart, I'll give you that. I mean,
okay. So
mean,
the
for
way
what-
that this played out, we start with kind of one of these stereotypical stories of woman wants to visit a place her deceased mother once served. And we get the stereotypical story of she
Don't you mean
is-
cliched?
Okay,
Yeah.
the cliche. Well, no, it's like stereotypical white American in Mexico. Barely knows how to properly speak the language except for certain things, misinterpreting them. Even at one point says, "I'm American," as a kind of defensive to this. The movie tips its hand so many times throughout it that you can predict what's going to happen long before it happens and keep doing that throughout the entire film. And the only scene you can't actually say that about is pretty much right near the end on how problem is solved. I won't say how problem is solved or what said problem is. You could probably assume it's the shark from, obviously it's a movie about shark. But this is also a great white that is slightly larger than normal, performing feats that no great white could. I mean, are they trying to make a Jaws here? Because this thing isn't even supposed to be in these waters.
Well, no, Jaws was more of like it had a lot of characters and stuff. When this one is just a survival of one person, really.
well, here's what I could get. I think the tagline of the movie, "What was once in the deep is now in the shallows." I think that's meant to imply like very subtly imply like a global warming kind of thing.
What?
No, but I mean, it's like those sharks can't survive in shallows. Great whites, the way they work, they go into the shallows. You know, this whole thing about the jellyfish. Oh, sorry, partial spoiler there. This whole thing about talking about that it doesn't like fire coral and jellyfish.
That's right. We spoiled the whole movie. The jellyfish did it.
All right, Mr.
Well,
Krabs. We'll go jellyfishing. Anyway, aside that point, I mean, sharks, great whites specifically, see electrical movements of the body. They are blind. They do not correctly interpret us or other living things. They see the electrical impulses as these living things move, like humans and fish. Now, that being said, seeing the jellyfish and keep going into them until it croaked. Because they're not meant to be where the jellies are.
Yeah. Well, I know that.
Okay, first this.
I mean, I understand if you're talking about inaccuracies. I mean, a lot of course, it's supposed to be inaccurate.
This movie
it's
is incredibly inaccurate.
I know,
But that's not really what the movie is about. It's about It's about human endurance.
Survival.
Yeah.
Human endurance with the stereotypical person who basically, you know,
I actually
I'm
did.
a fighter kind of thing.
I didn't actually agree with that, with the stereotypical thing. I mean, people like white people like this are going to like these places all the time, and it's not saying getting attacked by sharks, but like going to places where they can't really understand the language and going, and it's kind of.
I mean,
and,
not all of them are white.
Yeah, I know.
You've got to admit.
But I'm saying
that.
there are.
And
I'm saying, but there
Yeah,
are.
when there are, yeah, I understand. Other things you got to understand is typically these.
I mean, to tell you the truth, at least it
Stories
isn't too ridiculous. Like, at least the shark doesn't get on land and like try to shoot somebody with a gun or something, or go into a shark tornado, sharknado or something.
Yeah.
There's
that
no.
would make this movie slightly more interesting
Yeah.
to me. I mean,
I mean,
sat
at least the
there
shark
bored.
didn't talk to her, and like there was no scene where the shark's
mean,
like, "I'm
like,
going to
when
get
I
you,
can sit-
Carol."
When I can sit
This is
through
like
an
a-
entire hour and a half movie and be able to clearly contemplate how I'm going to pick this apart in a review, it's bad. And I have ADHD. Does that tell you how bad this got for me?
But yeah.
Not to mention the whole patching herself up scene.
I
Yeah.
didn't even
But,
look
like-
at that. I didn't want
but
to
if you
see
felt
that.
that,
I
like,
understand the pertinence, but serious.
But I'm not talking about like the what you, I mean, if you thought this movie was cliched and that bugged you, that's fine. But I'm just saying that the inaccuracy stuff I usually can get. I'm usually it bugs me a little bit, but
I can
it's
kind of get around. But I'm just saying
Yeah, I
how the
Yeah.
movie always pretty much gave you the ability to predict everything before it happened every
for you
time.
anyways. For you anyways, and it but for some like, but for us
I,
not so
I,
much.
yeah, I actually kind of have to disagree with
I
that.
saw
This
I
was
sort of saw the jellyfish thing coming. They sort of
saw
give.
well, there's kind of a foreshadowing
no,
near the
I mean,
beginning
they
too.
foreshadow everything in this movie. This
Um,
is going to become this. They're going to foreshadow it. This is going to become this. They're going to foreshadow it.
One
This is
thing
gonna
I
this.
actually really
They're
liked
gonna
about this
foreshadow it. They
was
foreshadow everything.
was a lot of the stuff you learned about her they actually didn't tell you. Like you actually like I didn't even know she was a doctor until like she's like, oh, we're sure she's trying to become a doctor by looking at her leg or whatever and
Yeah.
like discussing all that
No,
stuff.
actually, it was the call with her dad that just said that.
Oh, really? Did I didn't hear it?
It
I
was
missed
talking about medical school and don't drop out. And this was all about, you're trying to drop out because it was all about you couldn't save your mother.
So I kind of have to disagree. I really didn't know what was going to happen. This is the kind of movie like Gravity or Castaway where a happy ending isn't necessarily guaranteed. That is, unless you haven't seen the trailer for Castaway before seeing the movie. But honestly, when looking back on the beginning, it opens with a kid finding the helmet with like the camera on the beach. When she's like filming herself giving that message, I actually started to wonder if maybe she was going to die and that the kid would just find the message and take it to her family. So yeah, when a movie can actually start to make you think that maybe it's not going to end with the person surviving, then yeah, something's
Then when
definitely
they say
right there.
foreshadow that it's like it's never going to be a chance she won't survive, then it kind of lost all of its luster right there.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because the movie, as it progressed, a lot of the things started foreshadowing, oh, I'm going to make it out of every situation. I'm going to, this is going to be an existent injury, but I'm going to make it out okay thing. I mean, they just keep foreshadowing.
Yeah, they need her to be. You need her to be kind of hopeful. If she just kind of gives up, she wouldn't be that like you just kind of
Well,
like well if she
no,
gives
but I
up then
mean,
why
it's
should I then I
like-
should give up too and not care.
It's just it's kind of cliched the way they keep progressing, how she keeps getting around all the obstacles. It's like,
Well, I
don't
because,
make it obvious she obviously can do anything to get around the obstacle presented.
Well, the thing
The
is
whole
though is that
movie is about a
you-
struggle, but they don't show enough that she's actually struggling.
well the thing is though
They
I've
kinda
seen
gave it
okay.
to you
The
that it was gonna be, she was gonna make it out.
Well, the thing is, though, is I've seen a lot of survival movies where the characters are completely dumb and they're idiots. Like I think it's kind of nice that you can see a character that's hopeful and that can kind of that she's smart enough to figure out a way to try to get away from the shark. If she was just a vapid blonde idiot, it wouldn't be that interesting. It would just be, oh, like why should I care? Because she's an idiot and she's so
Well, I
dumb
mean,
she'd
she
probably
kinda
die.
halfway started like that, the way she was presenting herself. I mean, you didn't learn until later she was actually smart enough to do all these things. When you
What's
first
that?
see her, she acts kind of like a bumbling idiot, and there's
Well,
lots
not
of
really.
camera
What?
shots about certain parts of her body.
Well, yeah, that's,
You gotta show off the attractive female actress. You paid for her, you might as well get a lot of camera angles.
I
on
did
her,
think that
which
was a
they
little
did.
weird, but I
At least it
kinda-
didn't really linger on her that much.
Yeah,
That-
it
Yeah,
didn't
they
linger
didn't
on her.
linger, but they kept showing multiple angles of certain areas of body.
Well, then again, if she was a guy, they'd probably do the same thing. So it just
Maybe.
then you probably wouldn't be like,
What-
oh,
what's that old-
they objectified
that-
that man too much.
The old, what's that old saying?
I'm not
necessity
talking
is
about
the mother of
objectification. I'm just saying, a lot of
invention.
times when they use female actresses, they want to focus on that
Desperation.
kind of thing. You can't
Yeah.
dredge that through the water.
Okay,
Like-
so I will give you this. This is definitely like a Hollywood depiction of a shark. I mean, as much as I love something like Jaws,
I nicknamed him Bruce.
Yeah.
There's Bruce.
this is like more fierce than Bruce, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can actually really feel the weight of this thing, though, as it like lunges
They made
onto
it
one of the
appear
rocks. And
larger than a typical great white as well.
Yeah.
Also,
I actually did have
actually,
I did have a conversation with an internet friend. He says he really doesn't like the demonized depiction of sharks in movies because they have like a critical part in the oceanic ecosystem.
they do.
They do.
Yeah.
Just like wolves.
Yeah.
I don't like the
And so-
demonization of wolves
Yeah.
either.
If you want like something that's like a really accurate depiction of sharks, I might recommend like maybe Open Water, which although
That's
I
based on a true story too.
yeah it
Or
is.
just do
Although I
some
didn't really
research on
prefer it
sharks.
because
You
of the
have
way
an
it was.
interest in an animal, look up stuff about it from
Yeah.
reliable
Though
sources.
if you want to see a movie, speaking of wolves, if you want to see a movie that'll make you scared of wolves, you should see The Gray.
Yeah.
That movie will make you terrified of wolves.
And if you want to see like a really fun shark movie that does still acknowledge like that does still acknowledge the way sharks really act, there's like a Deep Blue Sea. Just the way that the sharks act in that is because of the way that they're engineered, though.
Yeah.
It's a Deep Blue Sea is a good popcorn flick, and
With Samuel L. Jackson, that's the one.
Yeah.
Guys by his arc, that's where the joke keeps coming from.
LL Cool J survives though. So yeah.
I know that part, but I haven't seen the movie in forever.
Yeah.
Honestly, but I don't know. I like this. I don't know if I like it as much
Yeah,
as
this-
Jaws. Then again, I haven't seen Jaws in forever.
I don't like
so-
it as much as Jaws. I mean, Jaws has. Yeah, Jaws is much better in terms of character development. I didn't mind so much the simple story in this one, but yeah, that's why I definitely like Jaws better.
I mean,
Man,
this
she
one,
was
it's
really good at
almost
the
like
pain
they tried
thing,
to
though.
Oh, yeah,
drag it
Blake
out
Lively.
as long as possible. This movie probably...
It's only an hour and 25 minutes.
I know,
It didn't
but
really drag it that much.
I'm saying this movie probably could have been summed up in less time than that, but I felt they were trying to drag it even further. Like, they wanted
I
to
didn't
at
feel
least
that.
get the hour and a half out of it. I felt they probably could have summed this... like, even I could sum this movie up. But I'm trying not to spoil it, so,
This movie is only an hour and a half, but it felt longer, and I mean that as a compliment, because
I
it's...
don't.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't, but when a short movie feels long, that's a good thing in the case of something like Gravity, because you really feel immersed in this claustrophobic situation, and thus time seems to be going by really slowly. And like you were about to say, Blake Lively, her performance in this is, well, lively. And,
My God,
Yeah, when-
every
she's-
time she gets hurt, I just cringe.
yeah, I know. And when
And
she's like stitching up her leg, the cry that she's letting out there, that's really the sound of pain. Yeah.
I don't know
And-
what the hell they did.
I did like the effect that she's talking like a doctor would to a patient to herself the whole time. That much I thought was less cliche and kind of unique.
Yeah.
I will give them that credit.
Maybe it was a little cheesy with the seagull on the rock that's with her that has an injured wing, and she names it Steven Seagal.
But yeah, that was
Yeah.
cute.
Mr. Seagal.
Yep.
I kept thinking that when she when she like places it on the half of that surfboard, I kept thinking that the shark was gonna pop up and swallow it up. And then maybe later, when she lit the shark on fire, she could have had LL Cool J's line from Deep Blue Sea. You ate my bird.
No, instead she just goes, you. And that is the only time you're going to hear that in this video, because she really does say it during the movie.
Yeah. Although they're not going to hear it, though.
Why?
Because I've got editing stuff.
But still, I'd rather, like, especially if you're talking about like really bad like shark movies. There's some like there are ones on straight to DVD that are terrible.
Yeah.
About surviving against.
I think James Rolfe.
Surviving against surviving.
And then there's Jaws 4 about a shark that wants revenge on
Which one?
a
Jaws 4.
Jaws 4, The Revenge.
Didn't James Rolfe count down like the 20 worst shark films?
But there's like, especially because a lot of like
get Jaws 4 in Metal Gear,
especially because
the Revengeance on the Revenge.
Especially because there a lot of really dumb like shark movies. There's always a bunch of characters always like, there's a shark coming, let's talk, and we're really dumb. And it's just so I kind of like this one, especially because she was actually a bit smarter than like most especially females and shark movies are usually the dumbest from what I've seen.
They try to do that to a lot of.
Don't great whites do attack from below though?
Yeah, they do. You know, I think the reason for why sharks are a popular kind of natural a popular natural predator in movies is because I think what really feels scary about them is just the idea that they can come up from under you and attack. I mean that is a pretty scary feeling. That's kind of something that I don't think a lot of other animals or humans could do unless it's underwater, but whatever. Okay. So
I don't really have much to say after that.
Well, the movie is really well shot too, and the shark.
I like the director. He's a good director. I've seen I've liked. I think all of his. I might have missed one of his films, but I've liked most of the stuff I saw from. Like I like Unknown. I liked Nonstop, and I liked.
Run All Night.
Run All Night was really good too.
Yeah.
Those are really good like thrillers.
Yeah.
And this was kind of it was. You used to thought it was a horror movie. It's actually a thriller. I think it was more thriller-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really either. It's just one of those survival movies.
And the shark was pretty well CG'd.
Yeah. Though there was one CG thing that was a little bad. That was during the part where Blake Lively, that's the actress's name, she was surfing, and there was obviously a scene where her face was CG'd, and I was like, ugh, that looks really bad.
Her face was CG'd?
You didn't, yeah, you probably missed it, but I saw it, I was like, whoa,
I never
that's
caught
really
that.
bad.
Why would they CG her face?
Probably because she probably can't surf. So though, and speaking of those
okay,
scenes where they do show her like her attractiveness, I kind of think the director's like, man, I wish she wasn't married to Ryan Reynolds. But the director was thinking that when he's shooting those. Yeah, but she's married to Deadpool basically.
Yeah. Right.
That's what I was thinking when I saw that scene. And another funny thing I thought too while watching the movie was the part where she's like, I think it was like she saw something, the boat, and she's like, come back. I thought the shark would jump and go, okay. It's like, not you. Oh.
That actually kept making me think of the ending of Titanic when Rose is in the water just muttering, come back, when the boats are leaving.
About that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Titanic in forever, so I actually don't think I ever finished it. Actually,
I've never finished it.
Well, I saw some of it, then I missed a lot, and then I saw the ending. I can't remember. But... Okay, let's get.
Maybe I kind of have a problem with the mixture of music in this, because most of the time when she's like surfing, it has kind of a slow jungle vibe to it. I really liked that, but then other times there's like electronic music, and then I didn't really prefer the song that it ended with either.
I was fine with it. I didn't really care.
All right.
When it comes to if they want to play music in a movie, I can usually ignore it unless it's like it's sometimes when it's obvious that they're putting a song in there because it's like for the movie so they can make it popular. But for
Mhm.
some reason, this I didn't really care. I was like, eh.
All
I
right.
mean, maybe the surfing scene was it will. Then again, I don't know if the guy who did the music, Michael Gilia, what he was doing with the music for this movie. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have worked so well for that scene. I don't know. We'll have to see. But okay.
All right.
Final thoughts, grades, everyone, or do you have anything else to add, John, or because you haven't talked? I think you've talked the least.
No, I don't. I don't
Okay.
have anything else.
All right.
All right. Well, so so yeah, a lot of the situations in this movie are kind of
Absurd?
ridiculous, absurd, yeah. But it is intense, well shot, has a bravura performance from Blake Lively, so I'm going to give it a B.
All right. John, what would you give?
I really like Blake Lively in this, and not
Yeah.
just because I think
think
she's
it's probably the best
attractive.
I've seen from her.
Yeah.
As far as this goes, it's not really my type of movie,
Okay.
and I can be, I guess, biased in that way. I really didn't like how it was set up. I've already kind of explained how I was really just not into it. I kind of have to. It's my
What's your grade?
rating.
Just no.
It just, I don't wanna.
Oh, you don't want.
I'm not even gonna give a rating because my rating is probably not going to be as fair versus the rest of yours.
It's alright.
That's
It can be
alright.
as low as it wants.
Yeah.
If you want.
Okay.
You gave it, like,
Okay, probably an F minus on my thing, but it's just, yeah.
All right. Well, when there's
You
John
can
didn't
like
grade
what
it
you
yet.
want.
well, I'll give you this one. When there are 3 A's in the car, I guess for me it was more embarrassing when we saw Hardcore Henry, but
would you still give Hardcore Henry an F? No?
absolutely
All right. You still don't like
I
it,
give
but you're
this
just not
a
on
C.
the.
the most miserable miserable time I
Experience?
ever had at the theater, hands down.
But
Lots of
would you
people
still
got
not? Would you
sick
still
from
not
it,
recommend?
though.
Would you still not like recommend it to everyone, or?
I guess maybe if you like
I mean, you
seeing
gotta-
people play a video game for you, and a really incomprehensible and gross one.
Okay, seriously, there are worse video games than that. And I have played them, and I have loved them.
So John, what do you give
I
it?
read
You,
it.
didn't,
That's my
you, didn't-
case.
you never gave your grading. Or
Shanks, you owe me a soda.
I give this a C plus. I like
Only
this.
that? Okay. Well,
I liked Blake Lively, but I think that was her performance was the only thing I really enjoyed
okay.
about, like, the scientific inaccuracies. They're just too hard to ignore. This is the wrong.
well, Jaws too. Jaws. There's a lot of.
Jaws was-
I never saw Jaws 2.
Jaws was meant to be
Jaws, just
ridiculous, though.
Yeah, but so was this wasn't supposed to be that realistic either. It's not ridiculous. Jaws wasn't meant to be. It was
This
supposed to be
one they were trying
Yeah.
to push it.
At
like
the
it was
time that
realistic,
Jaws-
but not.
At the
I
time
can
that
see
Jaws came out, we didn't know as much about sharks as we do now. As a matter of fact, Peter Benchley really didn't know anything about sharks. He just wrote the book because sharks scared him.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel that that this was trying to be too because of course in real life a shark wouldn't just charge after somebody. It's just,
Yeah.
It's just a horror.
Nor would it hang around. This is a great white shark, not a freaking graboid.
But
Yeah.
it's I don't know. For me, it didn't bug me so much because I've seen worse movies where they're just like it's just so out of the way ridiculous where it's just like I mean, like I said, there still wasn't the shark didn't talk or something or like it wasn't a scene where it was looking at her and then jumped her like walked for some reason or do some stupid crap or like it didn't I don't know why but still I think like I would see this over Piranha 3 Double D any day. That movie was terrible. Like that's probably
Yeah.
like one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Even with all the fan service? Well, yeah, even with all the
Not-
fan service.
Not Piranha 3D, 3 Double D.
Yeah.
3D. The regular 3D from Alexander Aja was all right, but the 3 Double D, the sequel, was terrible. Like it was just so bad. It just not 3D. Did you see? What did you see? Piranha 3D?
No?
I didn't see either of them, and I think Piranha 3D is kind of one of those movies that I'll be avoiding
It's a
with
dumb-
all my might.
It's 3D is really stupid, but it's kind of dumb, And 3 Double D is just really bad. Like, it's just, I don't know what the heck they're thinking they've been making that. But yeah, I think there's way worse, like, inaccuracy movies I've seen. Actually, Steven Spielberg likes the first Piranha movie, the very first one.
Really?
Spielberg actually said it was the best Jaws ripoff of all the Jaws ripoffs.
You mean the one that came out in 1978?
The Joe Dante one.
Piranha
Yeah, the Joe
was
Dante, yeah.
ridiculous. That was a good movie.
James Cameron did the second one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sort of. He was
His only bad movie.
He was fired. He was fired halfway through because he didn't want to. Because he didn't want to put any like because the producer wanted more. Roger Corman wanted more sexy ladies, so he was kind of booted for half of the movie, and then some other guy took over.
Right. So what's your grade?
I'm gonna go with a B as well. I really like this film, even though like I said, I could see where it is inaccurate, but that doesn't bug me so much. I mean, in this course, it's so out of the way, and like I said, I didn't feel this was too cliched, because if it was really cliched, she would have been a complete idiot. That's more cliched, I think, for me, anyways. So I'm a B as well.
All right. So I guess if
she wouldn't be believable for surviving.
So I guess if you're somebody like the
more survival movies have more idiots than they do smart actual.
Yeah,
smart
and they
children.
usually end up dead.
Yeah. So I guess
they've even survived it just in a really dumb way. I've seen a lot where they do that, or they still survive even though like that would not work whatsoever the way they survived. Sorry, go ahead, Pop. Sorry.
Yeah. So I guess if you're somebody like the friend that I talked with who's like who really cares about the portrayal of animals in film, or just really nitpicky at any kind of inaccuracies of.
Even though this has like the highest rating, it's still of the films that came out this week.
Yeah.
It's still like at a 74. That's kind of mixed. So there is still a margin that isn't particularly liking this movie so much. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. So.
And so let's get to the.
Yeah, we got 2 new trailers. One for Ouija: Origin of Evil.
It looks okay.
When that little girl looks through and sees the demon, I wasn't scared. I kind of
It
chuckled.
looked like a guy wearing a rubber suit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's a sequel to one of the least scary movies in recent years.
No,
Actually, it's a prequel
the
though.
thing that's bumming me out too, this one has a really good director.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm just
directed
like,
by Mike Flanagan, who directed Hush.
but it
and-
just looks so. I mean, there is one good edited scene. I like kind of the ending when they play the music over, and that was kind of cool. But so many of the scares in that trailer are just CG girl going. Like the funniest scene is gonna be when the kid's trying to prank her and he goes, turns around to hit himself. I was just like, oh god, that looks so bad. That just made me laugh.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
I'll-
one I saw that I want to see of the years though was Rogue One.
Yeah,
Of course, Rogue One.
Yes.
Yeah. We already talked about like Lights Out and Don't Breathe. I'm really looking forward to Don't Breathe.
Me too. That film looks interesting, but
Not to me, but that's my opinion on those films.
but yeah, it looks Ouija. I'll give it a shot because I like the director.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping, because like I said, from what I've seen of the trailer, I'm really hoping that one of the producers didn't like try to change it a bit so it would be more scary to modern audiences. Not like I said, I'm not saying it's Michael Bay, because Bay is one of the producers.
Yeah.
But it is.
And Blum.
Well, that's weird though. They never mentioned Bay and the producers. That's weird. Everything else he produces, they're like produced by Michael Bay. Everything they're like.
Well, yeah,
no.
because
Whenever he produces a horror movie, they never mention it, except for thinking like they did for Texas Chainsaw and a couple of the other ones he did. Not Texas.
I think they did with the first Ouija. Yeah, they did. So yeah, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt as well because of Mike Flanagan.
And he still writes it too. He's writing it too, along with someone else. So.
And then we've got another new one called Morgan, which looks mildly interesting.
There wasn't really anything to draw me in.
The teaser trailer was much better. It was much more mysterious. Like, it made you like, what's going on here? It's like, ooh, I kind of want to see this because of that. But this one I think this one spoiled a little too much. Like, it showed a little. I think it kind
Paul
of.
Giamatti though.
Yeah, Paul Giamatti.
And
Kate
Toby
Mara.
Jones.
Yeah. And Kate Mara.
And it's produced by, I knew it was a Ridley Scott produced thing when I saw that Bird, his production company, Scott Free. Once I see that, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
Ridley Scott has something to do with this.
Yeah.
Morgan.
All right. So next week we've got another 3 movies. We've got the BFG, The Legend of Tarzan, and The Purge Election Year.
I won't be there though. I'll be at my dad's.
Yeah. Can we get Shadow ACS again? You think he'll be available?
Maybe. I don't
We need
know.
him. He's the only one that gives us views.
Yeah.
Now after the review on American Ultra, I guess everyone's done going, hey, it's him! We know what he looks like!
Get that money. We're
Yeah.
getting any views.
Now that that's
But then
done,
once
maybe
that-
they'll
but
actually
once
comment on the
Billy
movie.
showed up, that's how he got all the views. He got his video got a bunch of views just because Billy was there, because he's Shadow ACS.
Alright. So, see you next week.